Hey everyone, I'm Wes Levitt, Head of Strategy at Theta Labs. Excited to be talking here again at BlockDown. Participated in a few BlockDowns already, both online and in person in Amsterdam, and always a great event. Love working with the EAK team. So looking forward to another great BlockDown, and awesome to see Edward Snowden here as well. But for my talk, I'm going to focus today on talking about metaverses and how they relate to Theta blockchain. So anyone who's following crypto, I don't need to tell you how it's a pretty hot topic right now, ever since Facebook rebranded Meta. And we could talk about whether that will end up with Facebook using that for good or evil, but that's beside the point. We think it's really telling the fact that even Facebook and now Google and Microsoft are making significant efforts to expand to Metaverse, and you love to see it. Blockchain and crypto obviously is ahead of the curve here and has been focusing on metaverses for quite a while now. But you see this as validation from the industry and the market, and I think it really says that the time is now for metaverses after a lot of early efforts over the years. I won't belabor the point, since I think most of the crypto audience knows full well what a metaverse is. But for those who don't, it's basically a virtual world where large numbers of users can interact with each other. Didn't come about last month when Facebook rebranded to Meta. It's actually the concept that predates most people's even experience with the internet. There's a book called Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson, which is a great book. Otherwise, you should definitely read it. I first read it on the Amazon Audible version, so check that out if you get a chance. Very good voice acting. And then a lot of people's introduction was Second Life, the game that was from the early 2000s, where you basically had a virtual world to run around in, but it was somewhat limited in application and never really got outside the niche element of gaming, even though it was a very cool sort of proof of concept or first attempt at virtual worlds. And then now, of course, in the crypto space, Decentraland, Sandbox, many other metaverses are springing up, with the really important distinction that now with cryptocurrency, you have a payment layer or a way to transfer value within these metaverses, which, in our opinion, takes it from something that could be looked at as something of a novelty to something that can really be a part of people's day-to-day lives and be much more interactive and interesting to those. So as to how it relates to Theta, we see these metaverses as perfect grounds for live events and basically live interactions and the sort of things that Theta has been focused on for a while. And so we look to position Theta as the key infrastructure to power these types of metaverses in a few different ways that we'll talk about. Broadly speaking, for peer-to-peer networks like Theta, this is a great fit because you have very high concurrent user counts in a large metaverse. So for peer-to-peer video delivery, data delivery, so on, it fits from a technical perspective because it has those qualities that make sense for something like Theta protocol. And we see more and more of the digital world going into this direction. So we're looking more and more as a space for Theta to act as the key infrastructure for these places. And we've actually been working on a lot of these concepts for several years. In fact, probably too early, but we're loving that now it's coming to fruition that metaverses could be the output for some of the things we built. So a few things we'll go over today. The obvious one being that Theta's core technology is peer-to-peer video delivery. So the decentralized video distribution that Theta brings can be used to relay the in-metaverse video between users. If you've played around in metaverses at all, it's a very visual form factor. Video is going to be pretty core to what happens within these. As it relates to how that actually gets done, the Theta Video API, which we released earlier this year, can be a key building block for developers to put that video into metaverses in a way that's seamless for them and very easy to do to gain adoption. The actual rendering of the VR worlds, I think many are unaware of this, but that's actually in our DNA as one of the first things as a company. Even before the Theta blockchain came about, where Theta was actually founded in the VR rendering space and did some early work with Samsung to create VR worlds in real time for games, which could show some examples of. And then the last thing, video-based NFTs, which is something we've made a focus on for this year, that can capture those meaningful moments in the metaverse. As more and more people's worlds go online and favorite moments they have, and you know, notable things that happen in these metaverses come about. Just like you want to own an NFT that represents a LeBron dunk, you know, for people whose world is or their interest is in the digital world, there's moments that are meaningful to them. And NFTs are clearly going to be the way that those are captured in a metaverse that's crypto native and has crypto integrated in it all throughout. So we'll go over each of those in a little more detail. To start with, for those of you who understand how Theta works, at the core of it, our peer-to-peer technology uses the Theta Edge network to distribute video between users in different local communities. And the more edge nodes that are spun up by users around the world, the more powerful this network is and the more efficiently it can deliver video. So there's more than 100,000 edge nodes running now around the world. And this is critical because metaverses are going to exist, you know, anywhere and everywhere. It's not going to be localized to where a given server is. It needs to have, for something like our edge network to power video delivery on it, these edge nodes need to be everywhere that people in the metaverse are, which is effectively anywhere in the world. So we built our network out strongly in large population centers in the US, in Europe, and in Asia, with some penetration into Southeast Asia and Latin America. And we continue to try to build this out around the world so that this layer of coverage is in place for relaying video in these virtual worlds that can be anywhere. To touch a little bit more on the Theta Video API, this is, you know, a developer-focused product that we put out in beta earlier this year, which is continuing to be developed. And it basically lets you put video into any application with just a few lines of code in Java. You don't need to make any development. You effectively can just upload a video to the Theta Video API using a post request, and then get back a URL that you can plug into your website and embed any video that you've uploaded. This happens over a decentralized network where there is no permissions for what can be uploaded. We do not have control over what can be published there. And it's effectively a way to put video back in the hands of users without the barriers of needing to understand how to develop your own video site or how to create your own player first to do so. And so we'd like to think of this as basically to make anyone able to create their own video platform using just Theta Video API if they want to. But as respect to the metaverse, what that means is that if you're building your own space within the metaverse where you have your own club, or you have your home in the metaverse, or an event space, or anything else you can imagine, you can effectively plug in video anywhere in that metaverse by using the Theta Video API without having to understand how to build that from scratch or to build that player within the metaverse. So we like to see this as something that's taking the barriers away from it, decentralizing the ability to make these videos and taking away gatekeepers of who gets to put video in different places, whether it's metaverse or websites or so on. A critical component of this, it does run on Theta Network, and what that means is the only way to purchase access to that, both to the video delivery side and later for video storage and video ingest, is to pay with the Theta Fuel currency. And the reason for that is because all the work once this is built out to utilize the Edge network is going to be done by those 100,000 plus, and hopefully many more in the future, Edge nodes. And so it's not a permission thing where you find a certain user around the world and you pay them in USD or euros or yen to do this. It's all happening in a permissionless and pseudonymous way over the Theta Edge network. And so to accomplish that, you need to pay in the native currency, which is T-Fuel, which of course also creates value for T-Fuel as well. And we calculate this will actually be a very cost-efficient way of doing relative to the centralized status quo. And the reason for that is because this is unused resources on these edge networks. So these are users that are using their excess unused encoding capacity or their delivery capacity. So they're able to offer it at a much better price than the centralized server. So once again, going back to the concept of democratizing access to video and access to these services, making it as easy as possible for anyone to embed this content where they want to. Now we mentioned a key part of it, which I think a lot of people are unaware about, our background in VR rendering. And so what that goes back to is in the early days of the company, we actually contracted with many of the top esports competitions around the world, in Poland and in New York and in Vegas, where we went to top esports tournaments and would render in real time. These tournaments are happening in 360 VR. So what that means is these games that were not originally developed for VR, like League of Legends or Counter-Strike, what we would do is take the in-game data in real time, stitch it together into what is now 360 VR, and then in real time, display that in the stadium where these esports tournaments are happening, and also around the world online. Unfortunately, this was 2016, 2017, so it was a little too far ahead of its time, and because VR headsets just weren't as at the level of adoption they needed to be, it wasn't something that could take off at that time. But we really put a lot of R&D into this and have numerous patents, as we were the only ones in the world at the time who were able to stitch these 3D worlds together from in-game data and display it in real time to various VR headsets. So that type of knowledge that our team built up there is something that now, as we're seeing these metaverses become popular and realizing it finally may be catching up to kind of our original vision of what this could be. So we're very excited to see how some of that domain expertise our development team has built up can now be used, now that we're starting to see what will probably be enough adoption to justify that technology, whether it's through a Facebook mainstream metaverse, a crypto native metaverse, or any others. We're not building our own metaverses at Theta. What we're trying to do is create the tools that allow anyone to create or improve other metaverses. So much like with our video delivery, this is infrastructure to be used by anyone building metaverses, not a competing metaverse in and of itself. And the last thing you mentioned is capturing these moments. And the way we do that is with video-based NFTs. A few different examples of that going on that are in the works right now. One is with the One Championship Mixed Martial Arts Fighting Club, where we're working with them to develop video NFTs of their top fighters and the top moments that won matches. And it's something that we look at sort of the next step beyond your static NFTs and sort of the V1, where you may have had a pixel-based art or something. The next step is other media forms of media, music, video, and so on. And because of in the metaverse, so much of it is a visual or video-based medium, then these are the kind of things that'll allow people to capture those moments and then and market them, sell them, collect them for their own collections, whatever they want to do with this value. So you put those all together, and our vision is combining all of these elements that can serve metaverses into one suite of decentralized services. All runs through the Theta Edge network, and all become different building blocks. So the Legos is an analogy that you may have heard of that can be used together to by different creators to build new things in the metaverse. So maybe one is a nightclub, like one that we'll talk about we did with the Central Games recently, where the video is powered by Theta on the walls of it. where there's, a booth where you can capture moments of it in the form of an NFT if you're there with your friends, and so on, where all these different pieces come together to create a new interesting user experience in these metaverses. So we mentioned Theta partnering with Decentral Games. This is one that's really interesting, and I think my Zoom recording will not allow you to hear the music of it. It'll kill two competing sounds, so unfortunately you can't hear it, but you can check it out yourself online to see the video. But we streamed the first virtual nightclub event at Decentral Games with a nightclub in Ibiza called Amnesia. And you can actually see, you'll see in this club on the side, some of the videos are Theta content. You're starting to see the real adoption of it. I mean, this DJs that agreed to participate in the Metaverse nightclub event were Benny Benassi and Luciano, and really big names in it. So it's kind of approaching its mainstream moment. But we see this as sort of a very beginning example of this. We want future live events to expand on this. And as I mentioned, the video on the screens, instead of just being Theta content, be Theta videos over the peer-to-peer network. So you think it is in the same way that right now you use Theta to share bandwidth and relay videos to other users, and you can earn T-Fuel for doing so. Imagine you show up to this party and you're relaying the same video you're watching to the other users in the area, and you're effectively earning for doing that work behind the scenes, or your device is doing that work behind the scenes. But really, it's more like you're showing up to this event and earning crypto just for showing up and interacting, because it's all just excess resources to you. It's happening behind the scenes. Another thing we're excited about is using NFTs built on Theta as the tickets for these type of events as well. So we recently were awarded a patent for using NFTs for DRM for video streams, and we're building that into what will be called the Theta Pass ticketing system, where NFTs will be unique tickets to enter these virtual events. You can verify they're authentic, obviously, because the NFT is the only one, or the only one of 1,000, or however many tickets are generated. It's verifiable on chain that it's authentic, can easily be transferred to anyone in the world. So it's superior in every way to the traditional tickets you know of. And these will all be as NFTs on Theta blockchain with this Theta Pass system that's rolling out in beta in just about a month or two. So as these virtual worlds get bigger, we're in size, complexity, we're just looking at all these different ways where these building blocks we have on Theta can be used for data transfer, for value transfer within them. So yeah, we're continuing our work with Decentral Games, several other projects as well, where Theta is going to be the essential infrastructure in the metaverse. Theta video displays are going to be in Decentraland, can broadcast and share that metaverse experience to users around the world. We want to make that as easy as possible with the Theta Video API, just a few lines of JavaScript code, and you can do it yourself. And then these videos can be displayed over the decentralized Theta Edge network. So, that ease of use is going to be critical, because developer adoption is key to eventually getting user adoption. And because the whole ethos that we're trying to build up is for this to be permissionless and for anyone to be able to add this to the metaverse. Metaverse tools available to anyone effectively, instead of being gatekept or having technical knowledge or barriers be an issue for adoption. So just like the metaverses will use decentralized money in crypto, and it'll be the big quantum leap between early metaverses and ones that actually have real world value being transferred between them. We aim for these building blocks from Theta to be the inevitable choice for video and data delivery within the metaverse. And just like you can relay your videos now on Theta TV or other sites, you'll do the same within the metaverse. So, we continue to watch whether it's Facebook or these other giants entering the metaverse space. It's not entirely clear which ones have good intentions. It could get real dystopian very quick. You can also, again, read Snow Crash for some ideas about how it could go wrong in some ways. But even if those don't reflect the crypto ethos and don't make a focus of decentralization, we think the fact that just that they're coming out and building and making it such a core to what they're doing in the future. It's probably the Netscape moment for metaverses, and just by them making that mainstream will also open the door for the blockchain-based decentralized versions of that, which could actually have more focus on user value and user growth. We think these are going to transform entertainment for many years to come. So we want the Theta technology stack to be the core infrastructure for that, and basically the number one way that users can create their own metaverses or build within those, or do anything they need to create what they want to in metaverses. If you want to learn more about what we're doing, keep up on that. You can see all the development tools that we talked about on Theta GitHub here, and our documentation site, so you can start building yourself with it. Follow us on social, and on our doc site, we also have several demos for creating these Theta NFTs and using the Theta Video API. So check those out. We'd love for everyone to get started from BlockDown and start building on Theta Network. Otherwise, thanks for joining, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the next BlockDown. Thanks. Bye.